What is up, everyone? I am Ben with the Fantasy Scholars, and I'm here to break down 4 QBs in Superflex startup drafts right now who I don't like, okay? I don't like where they're going. Listen, they're fine as QBs. Some of them are actually great as QBs. I just don't like their value in these drafts right now. Some of the guys they're going over, I like them more. Some of the guys that are going in front of them, I like those guys a lot more. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to tell you exactly why I don't think you should be drafting these QBs where they are going in Dynasty Superflex startup drafts. All right, let's get into it. So first QB on my list is a guy I think you all might know, LAMAR Jackson, QB for the Baltimore Ravens. So LAMAR Jackson's a really interesting story, right? 2 seasons ago, he absolutely lit the league on fire, breaking the QB rushing yards record, throwing for 36 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards, making the Ravens offense the unstoppable machine in the regular season that it really was. But then came last season, right? 2020. And LAMAR Jackson was being drafted in redraft leagues in the first round sometimes, or even in industry type leagues that are always about taking QBs late. LAMAR was being drafted in the second round, the third round sometimes, and I fell trapped to it as well. I took him in the third round, the early third, and I thought he was going to be a steal at that price because it was going to be an easy 30 points a game from my quarterback. Didn't end up being the case. There are a lot of people who are expecting LAMAR to have a bounce back year, and that's shown by a mid-first ADP in Superflex startups right now. But I really want to dig into this player, talk about why he struggled last season, why he has been so great in the past, and what we can expect going forward. So what we know about LAMAR is the rushing ability is incredible. Okay? That is something that has not changed from 2019 to 2020, and I expect him to continue being one of the best pure runners in the NFL, period, moving forward. Okay? His efficiency is off the charts, better than any running back by far. He will rush for touchdowns as well, and that's not going to change. Okay, he had a slight drop off in rushing efficiency in 2020 after 2019, but I don't think that's really a big problem. The bigger problem with him was the lack of passing touchdowns in 2020. He threw 10 fewer passing touchdowns in 2020 than he did in 2019. And yes, passing touchdowns are usually not a sticky stat. So maybe you'd think, oh, this is a reason to expect a bounce back, not a reason to sell him at his current price. Here's the thing, though. Okay? If we look into the numbers a little bit more deeply, we see that LAMAR's accuracy rating, according to Player Profiler, dropped significantly. His deep ball completion percentage dropped significantly from 2019 to 2020. His deep ball attempts dropped significantly, and that all decreased his adjusted yards per attempt. The thing is, LAMAR needs to be extremely efficient both on the ground and through the air to be the absolute fantasy stud we expect him to be. If he doesn't have that efficiency through the air, the Ravens are just too heavy of a run team to give him the fantasy production that he needs to be that top 3 quarterback. Okay? We also know that he's expressed frustration with his coaching staff over the offensive coordination. There's been conflicts with his number 1 wide receiver, Hollywood Brown, about Hollywood not getting enough targets, which has forced LAMAR to force balls deep down the field to Hollywood when he's not necessarily open. I think these are problems that could continue, and I'm just not positive that he's going to return to the immaculate passing efficiency numbers that he had in 2019. So right now he's being taken above guys like Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, and I don't think he should be. I think he's more of a late first, early second QB to take, despite his 24 years of age. Talked about LAMAR for a long time, really wanted to dig in there, but next we're going to move on to Russell Wilson, another incredible NFL quarterback. I feel like I'm going to get so much flack by talking about these guys this way. Russ has an early second round ADP in Dynasty Superflex startups. He's 32 years old, and there's nothing I can say about Russell Wilson as an NFL quarterback that hasn't been said already. He's magnificent. He's incredible. He has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett running routes for him on the field, and that certainly doesn't hurt either. But there's a reason that the let Russ cook movement had to become a thing. It's because the Seahawks and Pete Carroll, for some reason, don't want to run their offense that way. And every year we go into the season thinking maybe this is the year they let Russ cook. And actually they did a little bit last season. Russ threw more passes than he has ever thrown, 558 passing attempts, right? And that is pretty impressive. And in the first half of the season, he absolutely dominated. Absolutely dominated. No quarterback in fantasy was touching what Russ was doing. He also was rushing. He ended up rushing for over 500 yards. The problem is, for the past 2 seasons, he has dropped off significantly in the second half of the season. Significantly. And he's put up a lot of inconsistent performances going forward. Now, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer is out. New OC Shane Waldron, I think, signals a desire to kind of push even more in the direction of the run game. I think Schottenheimer wanted to focus more on the passing game, and Pete Carroll disagreed, which is why he was dismissed. We also know that there's discord here as well with management. Like, Russ was seeking a trade in the offseason. We know that he's been trying to impose more of his will in the direction of the offense, and that hasn't been happening. So because of these issues, these conflicts, and the conflict between run and pass in the Seahawks offense that isn't solved yet, I think we're getting almost a little bit too enamored with the talent that Russ has, which is incredible, nearly unmatched in the NFL, and not thinking about what kind of fantasy asset he's going to be. So I think he's just going a little too high in that early second ADP. Next up, number 3 on my list is Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. So Tua is being taken in the late second, early third. He is only 23 years old, and that's obviously a big plus. So a big caveat for everything I'm about to say in terms of talking about his NFL stats. Wasn't a full season. He was a rookie. Rookie QBs often struggle, and they can get better. But I'm not sure I want to bet on it, because what we saw in his rookie season was really, really disappointing in my opinion. In terms of just the lack of shots that he would take, the lack of risks that Tua seems willing to take, he had an abysmal 4.24 adjusted yards per attempt metric, which kind of shows us how deep down the field he's throwing his balls. He has really high accuracy numbers, but that's also because he's been throwing the ball 5 yards past the line of scrimmage or 10 yards past the line of scrimmage almost every single play. He has a poor deep ball completion percentage. He's not throwing the deep ball a lot, and that just doesn't work for NFL offenses. He doesn't throw to the sticks to keep the offense moving as much as it should be. And he's also not really a prolific rusher. At least he wasn't in his rookie season. We'll see if that can change, but I expect the younger guys to be running the ball more often. So, yes, does Tua have potential? Of course. All rookie QBs have potential and can grow past what they show in their rookie season. But for a late second, early third ADP, where he's being taken in front of guys like Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Hopkins, Cam Akers, I don't think so. I don't want him there. So let's lay off Tua. My last guy on this list, Tom Brady. Okay, the GOAT, QB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 43 years old and chugging like not a day has gone by since his rookie season. I can already hear the comments against me putting Brady on this list, but here's the thing. When I'm looking at these Superflex ADPs, Brady went one pick after Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, and I already said I think Tua is going too high, but we're talking about 23 years old in a quarterback versus 43 years old. Okay, I just can't get on board with drafting him in the third round of a Dynasty Superflex startup. Because yes, he hasn't dropped off yet. Yes, he put up an incredible season last year. I looked more into his numbers before this video, and I did not realize just how efficient, how risk-taking, how much he was throwing the ball deep down the field, and just how productive he was being in terms of yards and passing touchdowns. Brady had a great season, and he has great weapons, for sure. But I just still think you have to pay attention to history. Brady is an outlier, but how many years do you honestly think he has? Is he worth this ADP if he's only got 2 great seasons left? Maybe there are only 2 good seasons left. Like we see Julio Jones going in these drafts in the 7th, 8th round of startups because everyone is so scared of the injury bug. Everyone is so scared of his age catching up to him. But yet Brady is going up here in the 3rd round with all these other young studs. And I am not on board for that. That's all I got for you guys. Tell me exactly how wrong I am, exactly how right I am. I love talking to you guys in the comments. One thing I want to say is we are posting fantasy baseball videos on the Fantasy Scholars baseball channel, so check that out if you're into fantasy baseball. Stay here for daily videos. Right now on Dynasty, we're going to be focusing on Dynasty Football, and then eventually we'll be shifting into redraft as the season approaches. But if you want more great Dynasty content, come here, let us know, and I will see you guys next time.